On September 7, 1191, during the Third Crusade, the Battle of Arsuf unfolded, a crucial victory for the Crusader army, led by King Richard I of England. His forces faced off against a much larger Ayyubid army, commanded by the revered Muslim leader Saladin. This confrontation followed the Crusaders' successful siege of Acre, after which Saladin moved to intercept Richard's forces as they marched south from Acre to Jaffa near Arsuf. Realizing that control of the port city of Jaffa was essential for any future campaign against Jerusalem, Richard began his march along the coastal road in August 1191. His right flank was protected by the sea and the captured Egyptian fleet, while his army moved in a well-guarded and deliberate formation to avoid the disasters that had previously struck Christian forces, such as the crushing defeat at Hattin. Richard ensured constant access to water, rotated weary troops, and protected his forces from heat exhaustion, using the fleet as both a supply line and refuge for the wounded. Richard's column was tightly organized. 12 cavalry regiments, each with around 100 knights, formed the army's core. Crossbowmen and infantry secured the inland flank, while the baggage train moved on the seaward side with rested infantry in rotation. This steady formation allowed for constant defense against Saladin's mobile cavalry, which frequently launched hit-and-run attacks on the Crusader lines. By early September, Saladin concluded that small-scale harassment would not halt the Crusaders. Determined to stop their advance, he gathered his full force, about 25,000 troops, mostly cavalry, and planned an ambush in the forested region known as the Wood of Arsuf. Richard's army, which numbered roughly 10,000 infantry and 1,200 knights, was vulnerable in such terrain. To counter the threat, Richard assigned the disciplined military orders, the Templars and Hospitallers, to lead the vanguard and guard the rear, respectively. The march resumed on the morning of September 7, with Saladin's scouts already swarming around the Crusader column. The Templars, under Robert de Sablé, led the front, while Guy of Lusignan and his Poitevin and Angevin troops followed. The rear was held by the Hospitallers, commanded by Gagne de Nablus. Saladin's army launched an initial barrage of arrows and javelins through Bedouin and Nubian infantry, quickly followed by cavalry archers who darted in and out of range, attempting to disorganize the Crusader ranks. Despite enduring constant pressure, Richard maintained formation, resisting repeated temptations to counterattack. The Hospitallers at the rear came under intense assault, eventually retreating while fighting back and losing their formation. Fearing collapse, Garnier de Nablus requested permission to charge, which Richard initially denied. However, a bold initiative led by Baldwin the Curran and the Hospitaller Marshal broke ranks, shouting St. George as they charged. French knights quickly joined, forcing Richard to order a full-scale assault. This sudden shift from defense to offense surprised Saladin's troops. The Crusader counterattack surged from the rear to the front of the column, with infantry clearing the way for mounted knights. The pressure overwhelmed Saladin's right flank, where some troops had dismounted for archery and were unable to escape. The Ayyubid forces suffered heavy casualties in the chaotic melee. Baha al-Din, a Muslim chronicler, described the scene as a complete rout. Saladin's center and left wing crumbled, and only a small band of his personal guard remained near his standard. After regrouping his army, Richard launched a final, decisive charge that scattered Saladin's remaining forces into the surrounding hills and forest. The Crusaders returned to their camp at Arsuf, where they recovered goods from the battlefield throughout the night. Saladin's losses were significant: 32 emirs and around 7,000 soldiers, while Crusader casualties were relatively light, estimated at no more than 700. Though the Battle of Arsuf did not result in the capture of Jerusalem, it marked a turning point in the Third Crusade. Richard's victory bolstered Crusader morale, weakened Saladin's momentum, and reinforced Christian control of key coastal positions. In the aftermath, Richard solidified Crusader holdings, and the conflict eventually led to the Treaty of Jaffa, which guaranteed Christian pilgrims safe access to Jerusalem. The battle demonstrated not only Richard's military brilliance, but also the determination and tactical resilience of both armies in one of the most intense confrontations of the Crusades.